My name is Noor Dari. I'm a British Pakistani and a Muslim Zionist.
You're not Jewish. You're Zionist. Zionist is against God.
They ask you with Angarian, apologetic, biblical issues, comparative, and more. And now to the question.
Friends, ladies and gentlemen, everywhere, I greet you in the precious name of Jesus. And let us expect, from that beginning, we expect very hot issues exposed in this episode, and very brief, for our benefits all. It is not accidental that I have just finished reading the book about the fall and rise of the Jewish people. Clever title, not saying the rise of the state of Israel, but the Jewish people. Next, I will be reading Israel in Crisis by Alan Dolan. The book was published in 2001. That is 22 years back, but those issues discussed in it briefly, as I just skimmed reading through it, not far from what is discussed today.
I was radicalized from the age 6 onwards, which some people might find surprising. You don't think of people being radicalized at such a young age, but I was. And I was raised with this hate-filled ideology whereby I believed Britain was the enemy. I believed that non-Muslims are in a perpetual war against Muslims. It's just the standard extremist Islamist kind of ideology that I was just raised in.
So this is alarming. It gives us some of the background of those aggressors, how fundamentalists are brought up, brainwashed from early age. I know about it, I have been through it, and by God's grace, I am over that stage of being brainwashed from childhood. This is the Muslim Pakistani. Let us watch Noor Dari in more details.
There's no contradiction in my identity. Zionism simply means belief in the right of the Jewish people to self-determination in their ancient homeland. But I was not always a Zionist. I was raised to be deeply anti-Israel as part of my Muslim identity. I went to Al-Quds marches which featured Hamas and Hezbollah supporters. However, I had never actually met an Israeli or a Jew, but in 2014, I started to investigate things for myself, rather than just accept what I had been told, and my entire perception of Israel changed.
So this man, Noor Dari, haven't met any Jew, haven't met any Zionist, but through his own research, sincerely, he found Zionism.
In 2014, the Israeli Defense Forces were fighting against Hamas in Gaza. This was not a one-sided war, but a defense of the Jewish state when they faced indiscriminate rocket and tunnel attacks. I saw a clear moral distinction. Israel was targeting terrorists. Hamas was targeting civilians. Israel sought to minimize civilian casualties. Hamas sought to maximize them, even on their own side. I instinctively supported what I knew was the truth. I now proudly stand with the Jewish people and the state of Israel. The Jewish people is irrationally despised by much of the Muslim world because of their race, religion, and country.
Qasim Hafiz, or Qasim Hafiz, was a Pakistani brought up in the United Kingdom.
As I was brought up around a lot of anti-Israel feeling, and especially for my dad, very blatant and direct Israel hatred and anti-Semitism. My narrative was there was a Palestinian state, the Jews came from Europe, stole the land, and voila, Israel.
The man was open for the truth to discover something completely different. He was thinking out of the box.
You want to see racism? Go to Saudi Arabia as a non-Arab.
So where do you see racism? In South Africa? Yes, another SA, Saudi Arabia, according to Qasim Hafiz. I believe in every culture there is a certain measure of racism and discrimination. It is natural to look at others differently, but some will be going over the board. But what he was thinking, all those came from Europe and the USA to reside in Israel, not knowing that many of them were originally in neighboring countries.
When Hafiz arrived in Jerusalem, he saw different ethnic and religious groups mixing in the city.
So one visit to Israel was an eye-opening for Qasim Hafiz.
Be it Muslims, be it people from African heritage, be it Europeans, be it people from the Middle East, it's just such a crazy mix of people. And then you see the signs in English and Hebrew and Arabic, and it straight away blows away that idea of apartheid and racism.
He saw the people mixing together from different religions, different backgrounds, different ethnicities, signposts in Arabic, English, and Hebrew. Everything was completely different, mind-blowing, mind-boggling for someone who was brought up with a stereotype idea about the State of Israel. Then we will move on to Eric Stickelbeck introducing this man who was a Palestinian refugee in Kuwait.
He grew up as a Palestinian Muslim refugee in Kuwait. From the time he was a child, he learned to hate Israel.
مرحبا اسمي مارك حلاوة انولدت وتربيت في الكويت كلاجئ فلسطيني. And this is my crazy story. The Imam goes, "May Allah destroy the Jewish people," he says. And everybody screamed, "Amen." "May Allah do this and that to their women," and everybody screams, "Amen." "May Allah destroy the Jewish men." "May Allah destroy Jewish children." "May Allah make Jewish children orphans." "May Allah shake the ground under them." And it goes on and on and on.
This very much resembles what I published under the title Voice of Arab Thinker, if you recall it. And the same thing, repeating behind the Imam in the mosque after every khutbah, every sermon, "May Allah destroy the State of Israel." And people will say, "Ameen." "May Allah make their children's orphans." "Ameen." "May Allah make their women's widow," etc., etc. Everything, every khutbah, every sermon, on the Friday sermon in particular, there are some dua, some supplication and intercession against the State of Israel, and people will repeat Amen. So Mark Halawi was of that type, like me, like Nizar Khabani, like many.
I could never imagine what Israel was this blackness. I can't imagine that people live in Israel, have children, and some mother hugs her child and kisses her child like normal humans.
It is true. We think of, generally speaking, not myself in my childhood, because we have Jews around us. What a blessing it was to be in a society really multicolor and multiracial, multireligious. That was my childhood. But the typical idea that people will think of Jews with big nose, with horns, with tails, with so many things, never think of Jews as normal human beings like you and me.
أنا مقدرة اسمي عربية.
So embracing Zionism as ideology is not only for male coming out of Islam, thinking out of the box to embrace this ideology and see something valid in it. It is for the female as well. In a free society, an educated society today, people are thinking, people are able to make up their mind in hot issues as such. And this is Sarah.
مسلمית, ישראלית, ציונית, גאה. אני תומכת ומאמינה באמונה שלמה בזכות העם היהודי שיהיה לו מדינה משלו בארץ הקודש, ארץ ישראל.
So after listening to Sarah, let us listen briefly to her son Muhammad.
I'm a proud Israeli, Zionist, Arab Muslim. Israel is the hope of democracy. Seriously. I was born in Arab and I was born in Israel. And I'm definitely proud about that.
And after that, we will move straight ahead to just a brief introduction from around the international conference, well-known conference, the APEC conference and see those who are anti-state of Israel.
Shalom, my name is Rudy Rockman and I'm here at the 2019 AIPAC Policy Conference. And although most people come to AIPAC to listen to the interesting conversations inside,
so we've seen the sign, all Palestine be returned to the Palestinian authorities, to the Palestinian people. What will happen to the Jews in the land? Thrown to the sea. Oh, this is democracy. People in very educated manner, they can practice their right and display such placards. Let us watch a few more. So we've seen it. A Zionist is not a Jew. It means those Jews have no right to be there because this is Zionism. Settling in their ancient homeland is Zionism. And if it is not a Jew, either those people are not Jews, or they have no right to be in the land. Those in the state of Israel, what will they be? Muslims? Christians? Hindus? They are Jews.
We cry with the suffering of the Palestinian people. We will never accept this occupation.
Among 15 million Jews, there are approximately 5,000 Jews against the state of Israel and against Zionism. And this is democracy as well. One like that will shout that they will not accept the occupation. Let's watch further. To the Speaker's Corner, to London Hyde Park. That looks quite civilized, actually, because in most cases you will see the mass demonstrating against the state of Israel, requiring ceasefire, requiring from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. That means there is no Jew, no room for a Jew in the whole land at all, altogether. Kick them out, send them to the sea, or back to their homelands. I wonder if they will accept them back in their homelands. Those who were in Syria, in Jordan, in Iraq, in Egypt, in Yemen, will they be welcomed back in their homelands? Let's watch Muhammad Hijab and Joseph. Muhammad Hijab is a Muslim and Joseph is a Jew. We have seen him at the beginning of this video.
That upon the invention or the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948, in May the 15th, or whatever it was, there was a mass exodus of, let's say, 700,000 Palestinian individuals.
Yeah, in reference to 1948, the mass exodus, 700,000 Palestinians. Let me say it from deep knowledge and personal knowledge and experience. Many of them were not Palestinians, other Arabs who resided in Israel. Nevertheless, Muhammad Hijab have not mentioned those who were kicked out of the Arab and Muslim world, the Jews who were kicked out of their homelands as well in the Arab countries. Some of them were there, their ancestors were in the Arab world before the rise of Islam. That is not Muhammad Hijab's concern. Let us listen to Joseph and his defense on the matter.
So when the Jordanians conquered the West Bank, they enacted a law that said Jews aren't allowed to live there. The Palestinian National Authority has continued that law and forbade any Jew from living in Area A. When the Egyptians conquered Gaza in 1948, they also enacted a law which forbade any Jew from living there. I've got Jewish friends of mine that come from the Gazan Jewish community that were expelled from their home, ethnically cleansed from their home.
Ethnically cleansed from their home.
I was quiet for you.
This is a true statement. Nobody would think of Jews who were in Gaza Strip, residents from ancient time, were kicked out, ethnically cleansed from Gaza Strip. At the same time, Jews in the West Bank. Now the West Bank is not forbidden for Jews since they have settlements in the West Bank. But They were kicked out. They were kicked out under the Jordanian Authority. Jews were forbidden from living in the West Bank, so they were kicked out. They were ethnically cleansed out of the West Bank, and that what happened in Gaza as well. After that, let us go to something very controversial. Haris Sultan and Armin Nawabi, converts, I would say, from Islam into atheism, with all respect I would say that, and have very critical view of things. And the big questions.
Why am I seeing these hashtags in such big numbers, and it's appearing every day, where these young Iranians, young and old, they're just supporting, look at this, they're going with Israel, and they're organizing pro-Israel rallies. There's another lady, Iranian lady, I think she's going for it. So
I stand with Palestine many times means I hate Jews. The Palestinian flag means that I want to destroy Israel. That's what it means. It doesn't actually mean that I care about Palestinian lives.
Many Arabs are now discovering the same thing. It doesn't mean those standing really wholeheartedly with the Palestinians. They are standing with them because of the Jews, because they hate the Jews. If those Palestinians were confronting other Muslims or other Arabs, the matter will be completely different. It will not have that prominence on the media and that aggravation to so many around the world today.
If it was genuine care for Palestinian lives all around the world, we would have seen the same level of care for a lot of other horrible things that are happening to Muslims or Arabs.
Yemeni Muslims, Syrian Muslims.
Around the world.
Yeah, this is the statement. If the care is genuine, we will see that care with for people in the rest of the Arab world. And Haris Sultan was commenting, bringing the Syrian Muslims. Yes, Syrian Muslims. Who was it there? It wasn't the state of Israel intervening, kicking out those Syrians abroad or forcing them to flee out of the conflict. It wasn't America. It was Arabs together, Muslims together with Muslim fractions, with Arab different ideologies. That was aggravating to the situation in Syria. What is the Arab world is doing? Very little.
Yeah. I mean, right now they're kicking out more than around 2 million Afghans from Pakistan are being kicked out. Basically the same population as Gaza, and nobody seems to give a crap about that.
It saddened me. The same number of population of Gaza's population, the 2 millions, similar number of Muslims, Afghani Muslims in Pakistan. Pakistan doesn't want them, kick them out. And here we are talking about a Muslim country having Muslim refugees. They don't want them. They want to kick them out. And nobody is saying a thing about it. How many times have you heard about the Afghani refugees, those millions in Pakistan and their dilemma? But here, because of the Jews, because of the hate of the Jews, let me spell it out clearly. Because of the hate of the Jews, this what I am part of it. I was brought up like that. I could see everybody around me with those ideas. Praise God, my family, I had a grandma who was completely different. That's a long story. You'll read it in my autobiography. Let's go back to Mark Halawi.
One synagogue that I knew Dr. Block goes to. I told people where I'm from. Nobody was shocked. Nobody threw me out because my father is Muslim. Nobody frowned upon me. None of that stuff. People welcome me. People insisted I go to their homes for lunch. Ask me where I'm going for lunch. Are these the people that I wasted all my life hating and thinking badly of?
This is really shocking. People insisted that he will go for lunch with them. I know that. I know this is the Oriental hospitality. It is for all Orientals in the Middle East. Jews, Christians, and Muslims will be hospitable. Not to win him to Judaism. There is nothing as such. But it is as a friend, as someone coming from outside, as someone taking interest in their worship. Sadly, the West, my friends in the West, have lost that blessing of offering hospitalities even to strangers. That will bring me to the most important part of today's episode. What does Allah say about those who inhabited the land from ancient time? What is Allah's role in it? This will bring us to few verses in the Quran. I have them in my book on Islam and Israel. In Surah number 7, Al-A'raf, and verse 137, and we caused the folk who were despised to inherit the eastern parts of the land and the western parts thereof, which we had blessed. And the fair word of thy Lord was fulfilled for the children of Israel because of their endurance. And we annihilated all that Pharaoh and his folk had done and that they had contrived. And in Surah 28, Al-Qasas, verse 5, we read the following. And we desired to show favor unto those who were oppressed in the earth, and to make them examples, and to make them the inheritors. Yes, that is a fact. Allah gave this land as inheritance to the Israelites. And verses in the Surah Al-Ma'idah, Surah number 5, we read the following. وَإِذْ قَالَ مُوسَى لِقَوْمِهِ يَا قَوْمُ اذْكُرُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ إِذْ جَعَلَ فِيكُمْ أَنْبِيَاءَ وَجَعَلَكُمْ مُلُوكًا. Moses said to the children of Israel, remember the grace of God upon you, God's favor to you, as He made out of you prophets and kings. وَآتَاكُمْ مَا لَمْ يُؤْتَ أَحَدًا مِنَ الْعَالَمِينَ. And He gave you what He gave no one else in the world. يَا قَوْمُ ادْخُلُوا الْأَرْضَ الَّتِي الْمُقَدَّسَةَ الَّتِي كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ. O my people, Moses addressing the Israelites, enter the Holy Land, the land that Allah ascribed to you, that Allah gave to you. And this is in Surah Al-Ma'idah, Surah number 5 and verses 20 to 21. وَلَا تَرْتَدُّوا عَلَىٰ أَدْبَارِكُمْ فَتَقْبَلُوا خَاسِرِينَ. Do not regress, do not go back. Allah instigated Moses, Moses instigated people that they will enter the land. Actually, at some stage they said, اذهب أنت وربك فقاتلا إننا هنا قاعدون. This is the Quran. They said to Moses, go with your Lord and fight, we are staying here. So they were compelled to inherit the land. They were compelled to take possession of it. And Allah established them, مَكَّنَّا لَهُمْ in Arabic. Can you tell me any verse in the Quran that abrogated these verses concerning the state of Israel, directly abrogating, saying, no, there is no room for them in this land? I'm not talking politics now. I'm talking about the Quran and Islam, about the authentic, for Muslims, word of Allah. Is there anything in the Quran itself telling the people of Israel, the children of Israel, Bani Israel, nothing, that decisions from Allah was not revoked? So the fight is between Allah and Hamas then. Hamas is rejecting that. The Islamic ideologies rejecting what Allah decreed to the children of Israel. I'm not talking politics, I'm talking strictly about the Quran and what is happening throughout the history. They're saying Allah is wrong. You cannot say that. And as we have seen in Nordari, the Pakistani who embraced Zionism, stating what is Zionism, defining it as the right of the Jewish people to self-determination in their ancient homeland. For the Jewish people, to self-determination in their ancient homeland. This is Zionism. And here we have Allah doing that very thing to the Israelites 1400 years back. Allah gave the land to those people to be inheritors of it. My question, is Allah a Zionist? Is Hamas putting Allah in the accusation cage? Is Allah accused of Zionism? Let's listen to Noor Dari.
I now realize that Jews and Israelis are one of the most peace-seeking nations in the world.
Yes, this is very unusual. Here we have a Pakistani Muslim Zionist saying that he discovered that Jews and Israelites are the most peaceful people in the world. That's amazing. And let's hear from Sarah as well, what she thinks of being as an Arab Muslim Zionist, Israeli Zionist, living in the land of Israel.
לכל ערבי ישראל, באמת, להתעורר. אנחנו נמצאים בגן עדן. לשבות אותנו במדינות אחרות, במדינות ערב, אנחנו בגן עדן. אני אישית...
Yes, what she is saying that being in the state of Israel, they are as Arab Muslims in the paradise. She repeated that. نحن بجان عدن. We are in the paradise of Eden, in the state of Israel as Arab Muslims. Very staggering statement. Friends, brothers and sisters, at the end of the day, I have so many questions myself, and deeply hurting for the people on earth. I love Arabs and Muslims, and I love Jews. I don't want anyone to be hurt. Actually, there is no need for anyone in the world to be hurt, to face aggression or annihilation. This would bring me to the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2 and verse 1. I find it most interesting to me nowadays. I will stand my watch and set myself on the rampart and watch to see what he will say to me, what the Lord will say to me, and what I will answer when I am corrected. Watch to see what the Lord, what he will say to me. Brothers and sisters, friends, may God bless you and be with you. In Jesus' precious name, Amen.